Guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 369th episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. So MC Ren is a bit of a unique case when it comes to West Coast gangsta rap legends, as he may not have become a household name per se, but his work in the iconic collective NWA solidified him as an important piece of this movement. And while he definitely got a bit overshadowed by being in a group with titans like Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and Eazy-E, I would still argue that he was a more prominent member than, say, DJ Yella or Arabian Prince. One reason I really wanted to tackle an LP from this dude in this set of 90s classics is because he's virtually the only member whose solo discography I haven't discussed on the page, outside of Arabian Prince and his 1989 debut Brother A-Rab, because not only have I touched on albums from the entire crew, like 1988's Straight Outta Compton or 1991's E Fell for Zaggin', but I've also covered essential solo output like Eazy-E's 1993 It's On Dr. Dre album, along with Ice Cube's first three albums, those being America's Most Wanted, Death Certificate, and The Predator, as well as both The Chronic and 2001 by Dr. Dre. And I'll link at least the NWA reviews down below, and I'll leave links for at least the NWA reviews down in the description below, since they give some more background on the game-changing crew and their breakup. Perhaps a reason MC Ren didn't get quite as much attention as some of his comrades is because once the group disbanded, his relationship with Eazy-E and Ruthless Records would eventually grow a bit tense, but he didn't really have any big diss tracks that dominated the way Real Motherfucking G's, No Vaseline, or Fuck With Dre Day did. And despite being a core voice throughout the NWA output, Ren has been pretty vocal about how he felt his role in the Straight Outta Compton movie was minimized and painted him as more of a background player and side character who was secondary to Eazy, Dre, and Cube. Despite those setbacks and tribulations, MC Ren still managed to carve out a pretty respectable solo discography, which took a little while to get going, because despite featuring on and even writing the majority of the tracks on Eazy-E's 1988 debut, Easy Does It, this legend wouldn't come out with a proper breakout effort of his own until 1993 when he dropped Shock of the Hour. Though it's worth mentioning that this album was banking off the success and notoriety of 1992's Kiss My Black Ass, which was MC Ren's debut EP. This isn't a bad first project by any means, but it ends up feeling relatively unfocused to me, most likely due to the fact that the LP was originally intended to be titled Life Sentence up until Ren joined the Nation of Islam while working on the album, and decided to switch the name to Shock of the Hour. And he also would attempt to record songs with a bit of a different outlook going forward. However, he still ended up keeping a good amount of the material he recorded before this drastic life change, which creates a juxtaposition that works at certain points, but at other times it feels like the messages can conflict to a degree. However, despite some of my small reservations, at the end of the day, the first official full-length proved a critical success, and it inspired Ren to get right back in the studio. However, the deaths of his close friends Eazy-E and DJ Train understandably resulted in him taking a bit of a step back and away from the game for a while, ultimately returning in 1996 with his sophomore LP, The Villain in Black, which unfortunately wasn't nearly as big a hit with critics and fans as the debut. A lot of rappers probably would have called it quits and hung up the towel at this point, but instead MC Ren would go back to the drawing board and come back 2 years later with what I personally think is his magnum opus as a solo artist, which of course is the topic of today's video, 1998's Ruthless for Life. I feel like this album has the perfect title because for the most part, the California gangsta rap movement that these guys had helped create in the late 80s and early 90s was beginning to kind of die off and slowly get replaced with more updated and modern sounds for the time. However, this project does a magnificent job of embodying that classic West Coast energy and feel, but presenting it in a sleeker, more polished and mature way. Also, despite some of the unflattering statements Ren had made about Easy in the past, he makes his true feelings about him clear on Ruthless for Life, as he references the late legend and close friend numerous times. And considering how virtually every former member of NWA had dissed each other at some point in the 90s, it really isn't fair to pull one select example out of context and pretend like some random quote from 30 years ago actually reflects on their overall friendship. One other reason this album sticks out amongst the rest of MC Ren's discography is due to the extensive roster of featured artists and producers who make contributions, with the top-tier instrumentation being handled by the likes of Alan Bird Tatum, Ant Banks, DJ Bobcat, DJ Ross Steele, Larry Johnson, LT Hudson, T-Mix, Touchtone, Young Trey, and The Chill from Compton's Most Wanted, who also doubles as one of the guest appearances on Ruthless for Life, alongside RBX, Big Rock, Peeps, 8Ball and MJG, Snoop Dogg, and Ice Cube. When it comes to my honorable mentions for this one, I want to shout out songs like the title track, Voyage to Compton, Must Be High, So What You Want, Who Got That Street Shit, Pimpin' Is Free, and CPT All Day. Then, as for my overall top 3 favorites, this time around I think I'd have to go with Who in the Fuck, Coming After You, and All the Same. Thank you for watching my 369th video. Next time, we are returning to an incredible act whose debut I finally managed to get on vinyl, so check in for that one, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what moments you remember the most fondly of this late 90s classic. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.